Hello and welcome to another episode of Disney Movie Investigation. If this is your first time watching, welcome to the show. On each episode, we take a look at a movie that is featured on Disney+. On this episode, we are doing a double feature as we take a look at the direct-to-video sequels of Beauty and the Beast, Beauty and the Beast, The Enchanted Christmas, and Beauty and the Beast, Belle's Magical World. And if you are enjoying these videos, I do ask that you please hit that subscribe button. That way you will be notified with each new video. Now sit back and enjoy this episode of Disney Movie Investigation. So to start off, we will take a look at Beauty and the Beast, The Enchanted Christmas. This was released on November 11th, 1997, and it was directed by Andy Knight, and it was written by Flip Cobbler, Cindy Marcus, Bill Moritz, and Bob Ruth. The production companies were Walt Disney Television Animation and Walt Disney Home Video Premiere. And it was distributed by Walt Disney Home Video. So let's take a look at the production of this one. So after the release and success of Aladdin, The Return of Jafar, the Walt Disney Company opened the Walt Disney Animation Canada Studios in January of 1996. The purpose of the studio was to produce direct-to-video films and potentially theatrical films while utilizing the Canadian talent pool of animators. Over 200 animators were hired between the two studios in Vancouver and Toronto, and these were supervised by former Canadian Public Television executive Joan Fleischer. The first project on the slate was Beauty and the Beast, The Enchanted Christmas. This would also be a collaboration with additional studios, being Walt Disney Television Animation Australia, Wang Film Productions Company, and Character Builders. This was the first direct-to-video film to use digital ink and paint. Initially, the film was going to be a direct-to-video sequel, with the main villain being Avant, Gaston's brother, and his goal was to ruin the lives of both Belle and the prince, threatening to kill them, and he would use sorcery to transform the prince back into the beast while blaming Belle for it. The character in the plot was scrapped. The villain was now changed to Forte, who had a similar kind of motive, as he did not want the beast to become human, and the story takes place within the time frame of the original film. This movie also had a soundtrack release on September 9th, 1997, with original score and songs by Rachel Portman and lyrics by Don Black. So let's take a look at the cast. So returning, we have Robbie Benson as the Beast. Paige O'Hara comes back as Belle. Jerry Orbach as Lumiere. David Ogden Stiers as Cogsworth. Angela Lansbury as Mrs. Potts. Haley Joe Osment as Chip. Bernadette Peters as Angelique. Paul Rubens as Fifi. Tim Curry plays the villain Forte. Frank Welker does the voices of Philip and Sultan. Jeff Bennett does the voice of the Axe. And Kathy Soucie plays the Enchantress. So in terms of the plot, while still being a prisoner at Belle's enchanted castle, Belle and the servants help prepare a Christmas celebration. Meanwhile, the evil lord turned pipe organ named Lord Forte fears that Belle's love for Beast will undo the curse, so he will stop at nothing to keep the Beast away from Belle. Will Belle be able to help the Beast celebrate Christmas and thwart Forte before it is too late? So in terms of recommending this movie, I think this movie is an interesting device for a sequel, as it takes place in the middle of the original film. The animation is typical direct-to-video, so a lot of characters standing around kind of not moving because it's a little bit cheaper to do that. I like the overall story of the movie. I think the message of celebrating Christmas and learning to come together is a great message. The story does seem to drag on a little bit because it's trying to kind of extend it to a full-length video as opposed to a Christmas special. So there are times where it kind of slows down a little bit. But overall, I think it's a really good for especially younger viewers. It's something to watch around with a younger, like kind of preschool viewers. I think in terms of the whole family, like older members would find it a little bit slow and a little bit boring. But overall, definitely recommend it for younger children. So let's take a look at Belle's Magical World. So this was released on February 17th, 1998, And it was directed by several people because it was a collaboration. So it was directed by Colin Blaine, Dale Case, Daniel De La Vega, Barbara de Morskin, Bob Klein, Burt Mendel, and Mitch Roshan. And of course, being that many directors, there was also that many story writers. So this was written by Alice Brown, Richard Cray, Cater Croker, Sheree Guitar, and Chip Hand. The production companies, again, were Walt Disney Television Animation and Disney Home Premiere. And it was distributed by Walt Disney Home Video. So this is a film. This film is a collaboration of 3 different episodes from an unreleased TV show woven together in a loosely based storyline. The DVD was very successful as more than 1 million copies were sold, and for the special edition DVD, they actually added a 4th story called Mrs. Potts Party, as well as the song Have a Little Thought was also included in the Disney Sing-Along home premiere video titled Honor to Us All. So in terms of the cast, we have mostly original cast, except, however, we have a couple additions. Kimmy Robertson plays Fifi the Feather Duster. Rob Paulson does the voice of La Plume. April Winchell does the voice of Chandelira. And Joanne Worley does the voice of the Amour. So in terms of the plot, it is broken up into 3 different stories, and each one is presented like a chapter in a storybook. So the first chapter is The Perfect World, and this one is where the servants clumsily attempt to mend a silly misunderstanding between Belle and the Beast, and it leads to a lesson in forgiveness. The second chapter is Fifi's Folly, and this was where a romantic evening for Lumiere and Fifi snowballs into a thrilling plunge down a mountain in a runaway sleigh. And this one does a lesson in trust, and as well as learning to not repeat rumors. And then the third one is The Broken Wing, where Belle urges the Beast to free a tiny songbird as an act of kindness. So, in terms of recommending this movie, this one was a lot harder to watch as it's really generated towards younger children. The stories are really simple, and the lessons are really hammered in over and over and over again. I don't think the Beast comes off well in this one. He is always losing his temper, and he just comes off looking really unlikable. And it's like, it's hard to imagine if you take, because it takes place again in the context of the, like in the original film storyline. It's really hard to believe that Belle would ever fall in love with this kind of anger monster. So I don't think it does the Beast justice. But overall, I can definitely see the TV potential for this, as you have unlimited stories with different members of the household staff, as you can always include more household staff. But in terms of a direct-to-video sequel, I think this one just kind of one that I would pass, especially if you love the legacy of Beauty and the Beast. So thank you so much for joining us here on another episode of Disney Movie Investigation. I would invite anyone to please leave a comment below on what you think of The Enchanted Christmas and Belle's Magical World. So as we look forward to our next video, we're actually going to be looking at a documentary about Pixar as we take a look at a Spark story. So I hope you have a magical day, and we will see you real soon.